Welcome, everyone, to Coaching to Flourish podcast. Happy New Year. We're in 2024, and I am your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor. And I'm delighted to be here with John Andrew Williams, who's the founder of Coach Training EDU. And we're excited to be here for the new year, aren't we, John?
It's good stuff. Happy 2024, everybody. Can't believe it's already 2024. Feels like we're just zooming through, right?
We are. And John, your picture behind you has caught my eye. It looks like there's a rainbow there.
This is rainbow season in Hood River, where the clouds and wind create. Today's not a rainbow day, but yesterday was, 2 days ago was. It's amazing. You just see them and you get used to them. And certain times of days, you know where they should be. So I didn't know that. It's because the sun is all about things.
I love it. What does that symbolize for you this year?
I love rainbows. They mean a lot. I think they mean, they mean a lot of things. They have a long tradition. For me personally, they mean peace, healing, just the idea of whatever I was thinking about, find peace in that. That's mostly what rainbows are.
And how were your holidays, John? Did you get any time off or?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was good. I mean, Christmas for us was lovely. This is one of we only have a couple more when all the little ones are still, not college age yet. So we're running up against our oldest is getting up to college age, which is amazing. That's a thing. Never thought, you always theoretically know it's going to happen, but I don't think I've ever thought that clearly of it's going to happen. But I did make a new vision recording earlier this week, which I haven't done for a couple of months. It felt really good. So I feel like, using all the tools, trying to make the most of this next year and a half is part of the big focus. How are your holidays? How are things going for you?
Really great. And we'll come back to tools. John and I never plan what we're going to talk about, but I was going to ask him about that. So we'll come back to the tools in a moment.
Thing, though, after our Hunter's session next week, I want to start doing coaching demos, like listening to me, like coaching people, and so I think we will start to have things prepared. We'll let you know, everyone listening in here, but
absolutely,
we do riff, and it is fun.
Yeah, and we would seem to be in sync. So watch this space. More to come on tools and demos. But yeah, you asked me how were my holidays. It was lovely. It was also a time of healing for me because I ended up getting very sick. Yet I like to think of a cold as an upgrade. So I think I was going through the biggest upgrade that I had last year. I had a bit of a cold and a cough, and I was kind of releasing and letting go of certain things. There was a lot of self-acceptance that I was working through. And then we had family come to visit, which was wonderful because all family is in the UK. So for them to come and visit and just experience life with us here and some of the things that we love and think of as magic in our lives, that was really lovely to share. And I went through a very healing and accepting kind of process and period though at the end of last year.
That's cool. It's good to hear.
Thank you for asking, John. So I've got some questions for you as usual on tools and different things. And but I did want to let everyone know that we have got a fantastic workshop coming up on Friday with Hannah, haven't we, on Word of the Year. I really think people should go and access these wonderful resources and workshops from Coach Training EDU. I think Brittany's going to be doing one on sampling coaching. So anyone who's interested in signing up for a coaching course. But is there anything I'm missing there, John, on what's coming up this month?
I have a team course that I'm leading. This will be the first time I'm leading a course all by myself. This will be 8 weeks of, it's Wednesdays, 9 to 11 Pacific time. We're going to start in, I think, January 24. Will be sort of like an orientation, and the coursework will start in earnest January 31. And that's exciting. I feel like it's been a while. I've been working on the curriculum now for a while, but really intensely over the last 2 months. And covering a lot of things with not just with working with a team, but also the business of working with teams, and what that looks like, even how to set that up, and from a marketing standpoint, how to get teams on board, what it looks like, doesn't look like. So yeah, that's happening too uh, in the space. And more immediate, the idea, the word of the year is something that uh, I used to do way back in the day, and Hannah's run with it the past couple of years now, and it's one of our most popular workshops. So basically, it's a workshop to help you clarify and really deepen uh, picking a word that you want to carry with you for the year as a focal point. It's the basis of the workshop.
Well, thank you for sharing, John. So if any of you are interested, get in touch to learn more or enroll. And I know we're talking about coaches development here, but one of the questions I was curious about, since you mentioned your own vision recording, is as we go into the new year, and I've had lots of clients reach out to me, especially this week. It's got really busy because everybody wants to be setting their intentions or their goals, or they want to get remotivated on certain things. So what are some of the tools that you would be using as a coach with your clients at the beginning of the year?
I feel like January is the life coaching month. It's the month when everyone comes back and has resolutions, and they say, this is the year I finally do this, or this is what this looks like. Um, I mean, just get a coaching session. I feel like the tool is the coaching session is the tool. Um, I've been I've been thinking too about like this idea of like resolutions, um, new year. You know, I I I'm actually a fan of resolutions. I know a lot of people aren't. They get a bad thing, like not so great of like stay away from them, do this instead. Kind of like them. Like, I mean, I think they they work for me. They work for other people close to me, you know. And I think a resolution can work, especially if it's surrounded with other life coaching tools. Like if it has some sort of accountability, if it's not, so incredibly rigid that there's no way to recover back to it if you need to. Um, I don't even know if the idea of it being realistic, but I do think it is helpful to just pick one action to either start do or stop do, and that's it. Just one though. I think that's the key, is you just get one. um when I think about the most success, like in my own life, the kind of thing, uh I have a couple ideas of what my one thing is, but I haven't said on like this is the one thing, like the only thing. So we'll see what happens.
John, I'm interested in your perspective because I keep seeing these things around, oh, people break their resolutions third week into January, or various things like that. And you said, I like resolutions. So what is it that you like about them? And what is it that you like about them? And then, of course, I got lots of other questions, but
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
start with
So let's
that.
talk about it, and I'll make it real too. So a couple of my resolution this last year was to stay away from any endless scroll. So we're talking social media, YouTube chess videos, even news. So it's forced me to look for very specific ways. So I sign up for like a news digest. So it's one email once a morning, all the things. That's it. So at least I'm informed, but I'm not like there's an end point, and that happens. I started that last February, so it's almost a full year. And I think part of the idea of a resolution too is it's something that you can lead into, like gradually get towards. It's not like I think some people say, okay, here I'm no longer going to whatever it is, and then or I'm going to start going to the gym every day. There. I think there has to be a little bit of planning, a little bit of grace on the entry point, and then if you do lose your streak or you do go back, there has to be grace. Okay, so let me recover back to it. This year, I'm thinking about avoiding alcohol completely for a year. Started in September on a whim. It's like, hey, let's just try it a week. Then two, the week became two. Then two became four. That's kind of how it goes for me. Like it's the kind of thing where I'm just like, I think I might be done. And then, all right, let's try it for a little bit of time. And that's where I feel like resolutions are at their best, where it's like, you know what? I'm only going to do this resolution for 3 weeks or for 1 week, see how it goes. All right, let me try it for another 2 weeks. Like, it's not like you can't will yourself to like make a shoe fit if it just doesn't fit. But you can try the shoe out for like, 20 seconds in a store or whatever. And like, nope, doesn't fit. Try another one. Like, this is the way resolutions work when I'm thinking back, like, let me put some parameters around even the picking of a resolution. I'm realizing even as even as I'm saying this out loud, I think this might be one of the key factors is it's yeah, the resolution picks you just as much as you pick the resolution.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is keep it simple, pick potentially one thing, put some parameters around it, and maybe experiment with it for a short period of time.
Yeah. Is it something that you can even continue to commit to or even want to commit to? You know, uh, yeah, it became immediately clear to me when I stopped doing endless scroll, and I wasn't even doing that much. Like, I'm not even like on social the same ways that uh, probably need to be for business stuff. But even that little bit, uh, it I was surprised at how much mental emotional space opens up. You know, that's when like when the resolution is feeding you back really quickly. Like, yeah, you got a good one.
And why do you think resolutions have had a bad rap in previous years?
I think they're a lot like goals, where you somehow the magic of writing a goal down means that it's somehow going to happen. It is more likely to happen, sure, but it's just such a small part of a larger ecosystem. I think resolutions get, in them we attach our hopes and dreams for what we think we can be and the purpose and the potential of what's possible. But sometimes the shininess of that purpose and potential and the idea that, yeah, I can get there is so shiny that people lose sight of the no, you really have to roll your sleeves up and do some work in order to make this thing work. Like, really, if you look at where you want to be in your life, what I've found is if I want to get someplace, uh, and I really want to get there, uh, the level of focus that's required, there's a certain intensity, there's a certain kind of, if this larger vision of what you're trying to accomplish is worth it, and there's a time frame and pressure, use that time frame and pressure. Don't don't try to fight against it so much. And that's what I feel like happens with resolutions. Where it's like, okay, cool. Like, I really, really want to get coach training EDU and academic life coaching to get these organizations to a point when, we are like the level of staff in the processes and the systems that we're using just continue to make things run more smoothly to a point where you can almost have a manager truly manage this thing, and I can truly step back and then just start looking at each individual piece, not from a standpoint of, okay, I'm running a startup, that's intense, to I'm now polishing a startup. That, and it's taken years, a decade. I mean, we're a decade into this and we're still, it's still build stage. So I think that yeah, there has to be a level of focus and intensity of, if the larger vision of your life is worth it, for a 2 week period of time, experiment with a level of focus you've never achieved before. Try it out. Try it for 2 days. Try something for 2 days. And if you like it, do it for another day. And then I think at a certain point in time, the how do I say it? I think for a certain point in time, it becomes just easier to do the thing. Like, do the thing that you really want to do, and the thing that will feed you the most, that becomes the default. And that's lovely. So lovely. And that's where I feel like that's where the magic of the resolution starts to help you back. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, endless scrolls, I'm like, yuck. Like, they don't, it's like, no, I can't. So I got to find a way to deal with, you know what I mean? You just got to find a way, because it's just, you realize there is a lot of dopamine. Like, it does feel like an overwhelm. Yeah, it's a thing. Um, but yeah, but the mental emotional space that's created without it is pretty intense.
I,
Expansion.
li- I like the way you're sharing that, John, because we're talking about focus and intensity. What I always admire about your approach is the trying it out. When we've talked before about experimentation. And that's what I really enjoy in my own coaching sessions is we might set a resolution or intention or a goal or whatever it might be. I might do that with my own coach and we might set the intensity and focus, but there is always this freedom around it's experimenting because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that has given me the freedom to release the inner critic or release the perfectionist because there is experimentation there versus pressure. And it to me becomes more enjoyable.
Yeah.
How would you work with a client on that?
Well, that's what coaching does, right? Like, this is that is every single outcome of a coaching session is an experiment. Let's try this out to see if this insight has legs. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm kind of curious, Raj, like, because you work with a wide range of people, uh, and when you look at accountability structures and experiments, what do you see as the link between experiment and accountability?
Well, I just want to repeat that out loud as well because it's so valuable what you just said. Every single outcome of a coaching session should be experimentation. And there's so much freedom in that. And there's freedom for you as a coach when you look at it from that perspective of experimentation versus it has to be this way or fixing something. And it can take a while for individuals to grasp that, especially leaders that I'm working with who have high expectations of themselves, incredibly high achievers. I mean, I'm like that myself. One of my values are around progress and outcomes. So I think sometimes when I'm working with leaders in particular, that it's hard for them to grasp the experimentation bit. They can see it either as I wasn't accountable to myself. I didn't follow through with this, or I didn't achieve it in this way. And that can really get in their way of, as I said, the inner critic, or how they see themselves, or how they focus on achievement. Or if they haven't executed what they'd set out to do perfectly, or there isn't a real tangible outcome to it, right? Very quickly. And I think coaching helps to shift that perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's even the structure of a coaching session. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting down, processing out loud, someone is listening, and then responding only with curiosity. Just that structure alone produces an experimental mindset, because you're asking questions like, it's almost like, what if, you know, uh, yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Like, what if it? I mean, that's the implication. I think about, not that we're, as coaches, we're offering suggestions, but I think that each question is an invitation to experience a different perspective or a different way of looking at whatever we look at in our daily lives quite habitually. Every question is an opportunity to shift that. I can just see the clients you're working with, even just having sessions, how amazing, you know, just the structure of a session itself is a gift.
that gift, what I've learned along the way is creating that safe space for people. And still occasionally happens where I start to see clients are avoiding sessions, or they haven't booked a session, or they've come to a session and said, well, I was a little bit worried about showing up today because I didn't do X, Y, and Z, or I didn't think I followed through on X, Y, and Z in this way. And I don't want to let you down. So it's really important to me when I'm designing the alliance that we talk about experimentation and what accountability means. And also from my own learning, how things have changed for me. I think we talked about this a few months back, where I would be setting goals and things that I thought that I needed to work on were not even relevant after a few sessions because it wasn't really what I was seeking. It was what I thought I was seeking.
Yeah. Yeah. Session goals shift and can shift quite regularly. Yeah, I think when it comes down to like a resolution, like something you're gonna keep for a year, you know, uh, it's almost like I want to have a different word for like what creating, because what if the resolution after 3 months shifts? You know, I don't know, like progressive resolutions. I don't know, like a progressive party, like you go from like place to place to place. It's kind of like, well, this resolution might go from place to place to place. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, because it's also interesting too, is what happens with a resolution and you keep it for a year, and then how do you like deplane from the resolution? You know what I mean? Like, is it like, like is it do you deplane mindfully, or is it just like, you know what? No, I'm done. Like this resolution's been lovely, but I'm just gonna get on, uh some social thing and just go for 2 hours and see what happens. I don't know.
I love that concept of progressive resolutions. But it might be because my word of the year this year is evolve.
There you
So,
go. Of the evolving, yeah, the evolving resolution. My resolution evolves, people.
yeah.
I think there's definitely a sense of this is the entry point to it. You know what I mean? Like this is the design of the resolution. It's not like you can't think it. It's, because all that's just guesswork. All that's just, I think this is probably going to be really good for me. But then can you keep it up? Can you just try it for a week, 2 weeks? There's got to, yeah. I mean, I imagine there's tons of science around this. People looked at these, looked at, does that work or not work? Works for me. Works for other people I've seen.
So, John, what words of wisdom do you have for our coaches that are listening and the clients that they're working with on progressive or evolving resolutions?
Yeah. The I like them. Yeah, I like this is. I mean, this is fun. It's fun to put a word to it. I think it's also fun for me because I do this. This is something I've been doing now, and I feel like I've been like, pretty successful with resolutions. Like generally, they work, and it's really helpful for me to process out loud why. Because I mean, I often see the things that come in and say, "Don't do this. Don't set resolutions. Do this instead." And I agree with them. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. If your definition of resolution is this, then yeah, those totally make 100%, 100% sense. But this idea of like you allow something, like you allow you allow yourself space to even design the resolution, which is part of the reason why, like, I started in September. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start in September to see how I can manage alcohol and then see what happens after that. Is this something I even want to try to do for a year? And I'm not going to be like super, super intense on things, maybe, but maybe, and I think there's a certain freedom in allowing it to hold it lightly, hold it as a guideline, and hold the guideline as taut as you need it, so that if you need strict rails, you have strict rails, but if the rails need to be flexible, then have flexible rails. Like, you can design it completely to be how you need it to be to make your life work. And that's probably, that's probably the bottom line on resolution design. It's not just, waking up one day and thinking, I'm gonna fold my socks forever now. Maybe not. I don't fold my socks anymore. I read a book, the algorithm of what is it? Algorithms to Live By, and it talks about how like sorting is a waste of time. Searching is actually a more efficient use of time. So like, we should just stop sorting everything and just get better at searching. Anyway, that's another topic. But let's say that's, your resolution is actually something that's not worth the time. That's an interesting idea too.
I was getting a visual. I was like, what would I do with my socks if I didn't fold them? Would I just throw them into a drawer? Guess I need to experiment.
They have a party. Yeah, they have a party. Oh, I feel like, what would be really fascinating, and I think I could do something like this, is I have systemized almost every aspect of my life, even to socks. So what I have a science, and I don't chart it yet, but I'm almost the point of like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I could almost get to a point where I could write out like a description of like how to have like the most efficient, ideal sock laundry system. Like, this is, I've systemized it. It's tight.
We're at time, and I really want to know about this system.
It's a good one. I got a good one. Got a good one for plant watering too. These are the videos that need to happen, I think. But I mean, it's all good. I feel like the most important thing is, and this is, I mean, bottom line of this is experiment, try it, try not folding the socks, see what happens, but really algorithms to live by, you just get the ideas, you try it out, the experiment, rinse and repeat. And yeah, I know we're at time.
We are at time.
It's fun. Thank you so much for the spacey questions. I feel like I'm a lot going into the mind, and it's just, you create a lovely space and to allow me just to share what the things I've been thinking about. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the community, everyone listening. It's really fun to hear your feedback. Starting next month, I'm going to start getting involved directly in social. So I'll start commenting. I'll start doing the things, and I will see what that's like after a year of not. So calling it my authentic year is coming to an end.
Well, we're excited. Thank you, John. It's an honor to hold this space. I love working with Coach Training EDU and this community. I'm excited to see what else is coming in 2024. What I'm taking away today is experimentation, creating, and design. And please send us any questions that you have. Look out for upcoming classes, and we will see you in our 100th podcast next week.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
It's going to be fun. Bye, everyone.
Bye.